Righto, TC 100. So quite obviously a lot has happened since I filmed last because the GoPro battery died. But look, it's just like I said, it's just a run around the yard motorbike. That's all this thing will ever do. So I've given a basic clean up, gone through the carburetor. Wasn't really anything to see there. The oil pump, cleaned that up. So I had the casing off for the obviously the carburetor, but the oil pump, which is on the other side. That's the oil feed line, oil field line back into the carburetor. It's all hidden away. I thought this was a real problem, but it turns out it's not. So I bought another carburetor. This still adjusts, so I really am not bothered by this item at all. This is the idle adjustment. The little bit on the end, I think, is only so you can use a screwdriver. You can use your fingers. New handlebars fitted, frame all cleaned up. I mean, I went to pretty decent lengths. It's been rust converted, sealed, sprayed. I can't remember where I filmed last, so we've got a decent bit of fit up now. All the hardware for the engine's in, the barrel and the header in there because the rings were buggered. This thing is a 1mm oversize. Here's the piston here. It's got a little bit of scoring on it, but you can't really pick it up with your thumbnail, so I'm not bothered by that. It's a 1mm oversize, as it states there, and the vernier confirmed that. Guy in Dubbo's motorcycle records there, who knew, is sending me a new set of rings for this, or to shove them in. The ring gap was over 30 thou. 2-inch bore normally should have about 8 thou of an inch, and we had over 30, so those rings can go. Quite a lot of piston slap, and I'll explain that later. New chain, new sprockets, new tyres. I'm pretty happy with that. I probably could have cut another link out of the chain because we're pretty close to the end already, but you can always cut another one out. You can't grow one. So it's no big deal to rip another link out. It'll probably never wear out from that point anyway, let's face it. So we'll just go with that. Now I'm going to put the side cover on, start with the loom, tank, battery tray, la 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 la. So we'll see how we go. But anyway, this is 4 days work. And probably not bad considering, you know, how rough this thing was, but it's cleaned up okay. So we'll get there. Righto, some progress. What a fiddly little bloody thing this is. So just starting to put the wiring back in. Got the clutch sorted out. And geez, I'll tell you what, this is a bizarre little bike. So to get the chain and sprocket, you've got to take the clutch out, or clutch cable out, and the low high speed selector, which is an interesting piece of kit with a roller bearing stuck in where my finger is. Ideally, I think what they planned, I don't have a book for this thing, but I'm guessing that this was supposed to come out. According to the IPC, it does. Thank you, CMS. This is supposed to just lift out, so undo that screw there and lift it out, then you can take it off as an assembly with that nut. This won't come out. I have tried and soaked it. In fact, it was seized. Totally and utterly seized. It didn't work. It does now, as you can see. Just got to give, yep, there we go. So that's the low-high range. So it's an 8-speed gearbox in this little 100cc bike. It's a bizarre little thing. And it's got points. Of course it's got points. Everyone loves a point. So anyway, we think we're okay with that. As best I can tell, I'm going to try and get a manual without paying $1 bazillion. Now, the other thing is I put these aftermarket foot pegs on, but I don't know if I'm going to get the gear lever low enough to be around about horizontal where I want it to be. I do want the thing to function, like easily, make it easy to ride. And the other thing is, I thought I was dreaming, but the brake pedal is the same. But when I had it before, I don't know, I'll bugger this up. I don't know why, but we are just too far high, and I've got to work out why that is the case. Now, it never had the spring fitted here, and I don't know if applying a heap of spring tension here is going to get me out of trouble. Well, it looked like it may. So this is not the right spring. This is one I had to line around. And it might just be a matter of pushing a higher spring tension on that. Probably is, actually. Probably is. So I'll need to buy something for that. The wiring, like I said, it's just a freaking nightmare. Try and remember where everything went. I'll just get to it as I get to it. But it's just a bizarre little machine, this thing. And I want to get it out of the way, like I said, for Christmas. And it's just had the worst work I have ever seen anyone do. Check out this. For some reason, they've decided to, well, they decommissioned the headlights and the bloody indicators, and then they've just, or someone's decided, to reinstate it. All the same colour wires, always a good idea, and it's all freaking wire twist and this shitty red tape. Like, okay, I will cut all that out and fix all that up. Get rid of all this and solder them all, heat shrink them, and make it back into a proper connection. But just, this is typical of the state of everything, just the amount of dirt and dust. In fact, there was a big spider's nest in this particular switch assembly. Nice. Anyway, we'll get on with this, and I want to get it out of the way. So we've progressed well, because the ute must proceed. Planning to have Sean into the shed soon, so we can get on with that. And I opened up the bloody box for the spit roast and decided we'll hold on that one. Check out this. Oh dear Lord. It's clearly a heavy duty bit of kit. And that's just a day for, I'm not going to start this one until I get that little bike done. So, is what it is at the moment. What do you reckon, Humphrey? Hey? It's a roughy up time, Dad. Time for a beer. Chuck the ball for Tilda, isn't it? So anyway, bizarre little thing, but she's coming along. And without a word of a lie, there's 5 days work here. From what you've seen, the state this thing was in, 5 days. So, not a bad effort, I reckon. Anyway. Righto, just about run out of time. Heap of parts just turned up. So, new rings. Just have a look down there. We should have about 8 thou for a 2-inch bore. It's about right. These old ones, you can just see physically how much less ring is on them. They had over 30, so they're buggered. Arrow to forward, and on 2 strokes, I didn't know this, but the gaps are set for you. They've got little lugs in the piston. Makes life easy, doesn't it? Who knew? Anyway, and that's so the gap is nowhere near one of the ports, apparently. Just looked it up, so we'll just get on with this. Righto, so just a quick little one. It has the 2 spark plug holes, but I think one's just meant to be blank. And I thought, gee, this is weird. Have a look at the different lengths of the plugs. Now, this is the one that was used for firing. It's in this hole, and that was in the degreaser for 3 frickin' days, by the way. And ultrasonic bath twice, and it still didn't get rid of all the bloody grease off it. If I was trying harder, I could, but time's not my friend. So the longer one, where the blank goes. So I guess if you're playing with any one of these little old Suzukis, just beware it's not necessarily twin spark plug. It's not. It's actually a blank, and they're 2 different length holes. But whoever done it got it pretty right, I've got to say, because they're about both exactly the same length. So I think the idea was that you could run 2 plugs, just beware they are clearly different, because this hole on the blank side is stepped up, it's longer, so you need a longer reach plug. And the idea is, yes, you can swap the lead over apparently. I know why they just didn't make it twin spark, got me knackered, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. Righto, so this is what we call a turd sandwich. My God, I just really, I know what the white wire did to them, but clearly, I just, what the fair income. Someone just had no idea what they're doing. So anyway, we'll start with cleaning up the switch. You can just see the state. Out of this particular switch set, I think I said before, I got a whole spider's nest. Nice. Anyway, I'm going to cut that back there a bit, make sure we've got full exposure, cut them. Problem is they might be a bit short. The reason I think they lengthened it, or went to that trouble, was to, why did they do that? Oh, I think the aftermarket handlebars, which are now in the bin anyway, they're buggered. So I'll just on with this and see how we go. Righto, switch gear, the left hand side TC. I'm going to take a stab. I don't know the TS's in this genre of bikes very well, but from what I can see and knowing, buying new high low beam light on off switch, which is those little suckers down there where I'm pointing to, the index finger, they're all the same. So your horn button, you need to install that, and look, bugger to see, I know, that one there, I'm pointing to that, needs to be installed before your indicator switch. And the indicator switch sits into a little housing in there. But horn followed by indicator, with your light switches installed, don't try and operate them, because they rely on the curvature of the handlebar to stay in position. Yeah, so don't try and operate them up and down once you've got them into play and into their various positions. And there's a little ball on each one, spring-loaded ball, and it slides over those little notches there. Really hard to see. Finicky little bit of kit this. As for whoever did what with this bike, I don't know why they intercepted these wires, for what purpose, because every light was removed off the bike. It had none. We've got a headlight and tail light, brake light assembly for it now. And my wife said, do you really need a headlight for a bike you're going around the yard with? No, but it's just me. It's just the way I do things, so I'll probably get the indicators and the mirrors. She doesn't know yet. And as far as the switches go, there's a new one there. So I was talking about that little ball. From Berlin. 100 Harding Street, Berlin. I found them on Google somewhere. So I've got bits from Thailand, America, and Germany so far for this little bike. So she's worldly. Anyway, I just thought I'd pass that on. I'd imagine any old Suzuki stuff. And I tell you what, when I pulled this apart, I took photos, and if I hadn't taken photos, because these things just disintegrated and I couldn't see where the hell what went where, you'd be lost. So for God's sakes, if you pull something like this apart, photos at every step will save your ass. Anyway. Righto, where are we at with this little Suzuki? So I'm not going to repaint this one. They've just come out of the wash bath. and they come up real good actually, so I mean good enough. The tank, I'll give a bit of a clean and polish, try and kick that dent out. I haven't even emptied the fuel, still got bloody fuel in it. I haven't had time to think about it because I'm not too bothered by it either. But just to sort of illustrate just how big a job this ended up being, there was no lights on the bike at all. So I scored this, I don't remember when, that might have been the 6th glass of wine on eBay. Who knows? But it's probably going to give us a good little finish at the back. I reckon that's all right. I've scored some 6-volt globes for it. So that's not too far off what they look like from factory. Things like we got a new oil cap, that was out of America, battery local, 2 new cables, speedo and front brake, that's for the bin. These turned up the other day and I don't think they're going to be any good somehow. I think the angle of that is wrong. Like if it mounts vertically, really? Anyway, we'll see how that goes. And do I need mirrors and indicators and a stoplight for a motorbike's never going to see the road and just run around the paddock? Yes, dear, I do. Anyway, I just can't help myself. Manual, all critical. Finally got one, wasn't cheap, $100. Turns out, it was really interesting. Published with special thanks to Suzuki, blah, 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 blah. And it goes on. There, registered at the National Library, Canberra, Australia, ACT. Who knew? So anyway, this covers up to 400cc for the TC series. And a lot of good information. You just can't live without a manual if you start from scratch, which I am. And this has got good detail on how to set up the oil pump, which is what I really want, syncing it to the carby. So, the bike's sort of come along pretty well. Looks like we've got good gear selection now. So that's good. That's a high range, low range, this quirky little machine. Going to put the wiring in today, hook up all the cables. Got new foot pegs. The original ones were stuffed and this frame was badly bent. Badly. So I had to take it back out yesterday, strip it again. And with one of those Map Pro heat guns, it does get this steel red hot. So I was able to bend this back. This probably could come a little bit further, but this was sitting up here, like where my hand is. So it came back a long way. And ditto this brake lever. It didn't matter what we did, you were never going to get it near flat. So you'd never be able to get the brake to work the way you wanted it to. So I put this into the heat gun as well and bent this down based off a picture I got off the net, really. And that looks like it's got about the right throw. Got a new spring here. This is a Yamaha setup. It's still not doing exactly what I want it to do. I'm having a few rigging issues because really I thought this spring was supposed to counter this spring to a point where it would hold it, but it's the return spring, which according to the book is correct. It's just got too much oomph. So I'm not really bothered by it now that I've got it at an angle where I can get my foot onto it. But it was sitting up near the bloody crankcase before. So I'll call that a fix, good enough. And obviously the wiring, I've had to redo a stack of it. This is one that I've rewrapped. I had to re-terminate, solder everything because someone had cut it and used all the one colour to wire twist it and shitty old plastic tape, and it was just awful. So went ahead and did that. I got to redo the chain. Never good at putting chains. I don't know, I always get the linkage wrong, but I've got it too long, so almost all the way back and too sloppy, so we can take another link out. Better to be too long than too short. So that's that. The welder's back. We're about to use that actually. So ditto the park brake, the bloody gear lever here. I'll just take this out. So I don't know if you can see that, but I've just cut a V into that. And the reason, get down onto the chair, is because I don't know if you can see that, but that's cracked and damaged. And the reason it's all damaged is because to get this at the right angle, where it's around about flat or a little bit below, this would hit the casing, the nut. So, sorry, the head of the bolt. So that's no good. And it's also no good having, I mean, it was sitting up about here again. So this thing's had a flogging and has significant structural damage, actually. There was a crack in here that I repaired earlier. I think I talked about that in one of the earlier films. So this is what I've done. I've just decided to just cut it with an angle grinder, and then bent it down to a point where, yeah, I think that's going to be a reasonable good adjustment. It's pretty flat, toe under, foot over. Just comparing how I set up my other bikes. As you can see, it's pretty flat, the VF. So I reckon that's probably going to be not bad. How do I run the FJ? Don't know, I've never adjusted this one. Then again, about the same. A little bit lower on the FJ. And the Jix, what's it? About the same. So, obviously looked at yesterday and thought that's what we'll do. So I reckon that'll do. That'll do. So now I was going to get the welder out and weld that up reasonably hot with MIG. The TIG works now, but I still can't use the bloody thing. We'll get to it. Other bits we've bought. So we've got a new cable for that. Found that. Brand new bloody gear stick rubber. It'd be nice to have a factory one again, but that's got Suzuki on it, but she's done her day. Light switches, got them out of America. Don't remember buying 3, but anyway, we've got a spare. Filter foam. Can't find an air filter for this bike, but we'll just make one to go onto the cone, which is here. We'll just make one ourselves. Easy done. Clean that up and she'll be right. Globes, they're all 6 volt. I've got, there 2 I've bought, and that one was in there. I might make them all the same. 6 volt tail light, brake light assembly. They do exist, you can get them. I got a spare carburetor, but as it turned out, I really wanted it just for this piece here. These little brass bits, because it's this one, I think it's this one here, yeah, that one. The idle adjustment looks like it's broken on the other one, and it's just that bit at the end that's broken. The rest of it's working fine. And I pulled this one out. This was quite filthy inside, so compared to the other one, so we'll use the other one. This is just all old hardware off the bike, and a lot of it's not going back on. A lot of it's not factory. I mean, this thing's just shocking. These little kits, I assume you can get them online. I bought that from a motorbike shop in Cairns years ago. I bought a few of these things. Really handy. They're just motorcycle bolt packs. That was 20 bucks, that one, years ago. Handy. What else we bought? I think it's about it. We've got a new seat cover, got a new headlight. I tried these foot pegs. They don't do the job. They were cheap. They were a stab, but they sit too low, because I did want rubber ones over steel. I didn't want metal pegs. So that's what we're doing with all the bits we've accumulated, I think. It's a pretty comprehensive list. So now we'll just go for fit up today, and I'm not going to film till, I don't know, I've got all the wiring in at least. That's about it. Righto, so I got the instrument cluster back together, and like I've said before, this bike is just never going to be real pretty. That said, this cleaned up okay, and there was a few things here. The speedo cable hadn't been connected for eons, and I had to dig that out because there was yet another wasp nest or something, excuse me, inside the square drive. Then I made sure the square drive from the speedo cable, the new speedo cable, went in because there wasn't one fitted. And then these globes, so these idiot lights here, just had to replace all bar one because it was missing. And then the one for the speedo itself. Now what's interesting here, and this is why I'm sort of bothering to film, this little wire here is also part of the insulation, as my torch is buggered. So the back of this, on this particular plug which goes in, is part of the vibration insulation for the Speedo itself. Now I was going to pause here. Righto, sorry about that. Now these are really fragile, these freaking things. In fact, they've all broken and perished. Good luck trying to find new ones. I've just done my best so they're going to stay in place, and when obviously it's mounted, it'll help hold it there. So that was really interesting to work out why there's this little cutout where my finger is. That's why, because that wire goes in there. And also the 6-volt bulbs that I bought do not fit the instrument. So it's got to be a smaller head version of this. So if you're ever doing that, the hole won't permit the bulb in. I was going to drill it out, for God's sakes. So that's that. It's back together. Key works nice now, it didn't before. So it was just some lanolin I chucked in there. So that's that. And the other thing is, it's a little bit annoying after you spend $100 on a bloody book, is that for the TC100, I don't need a torch now, we've got the standard wiring and it's all laid out nicely, la la la, except one thing, there's no colour coding. No colour coding. For all, oh no, for the other ones they don't have either. Some of them they do. And there we go. So they've named them what they are. You know, these ones have got colour. But back to the good old TC100, my old bus, nothing, mum. Now I downloaded this off the net and it happens to be in colour. Don't ask me where I got it, I just Googled it. But when it printed out, it was blurry as buggery. But between the two, I can work it out. Information is just priceless. So anyway, that's that. Now it's going to get on to putting all the wiring back into the bike. And I'm relying on photos, to be honest with you. And if you're pulling something apart like this, where there's just crap everywhere, and this thing there was, do yourself a favour. We do it in aviation, I've said it before. Take photos. You've all got a phone, take photos as you pull things apart. It'll help you going back together, because there's nothing in the book. Nothing. Anyway,